y dos, y dos, una, y dos, una, y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortez NYC Livestream, the podcast.
This show broadcasts out of New York City.
We are your hosts, Cortez NYC.
And Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on this show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
And this is episode 74.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and Spotify, and on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr.
And don't forget, my Series 2 stickers have launched. They're on corteznyc.bigcartel.com, my online store. So go on there, pick up a pack of stickers. It's a 6-pack of stickers. And also buy some other stuff. I got posters, I have graffiti pins, all kinds of things for sale. So go on and support. Once again, corteznyc.bigcartel.com. And now let's get on with it. Avengers, assemble. Oh man. Special episode. We
Right.
assembled the Avengers for this episode. We are going to do a little quick review of the Avengers Endgame movie, and we brought Mr.ARC onto the episode, our expert here, our in-house expert on all things Avengers and MCU. Hello, Mr.ARC.
Hello there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice hello.
Yeah, nice creepy hello there, guy. All right. No, but so we thank you for that little intro on the piano there, Mr. ARC. You've been practicing that Avengers theme music for a long time now.
Yes, I have.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
And we decided to, because we have been feeling the buzz of the Avengers, we decided to talk about Avengers Endgame. We're going to do a quick couple of minutes of just some basic facts of the movie, and then we're going to do a full spoilers section. So if you haven't seen it, you might as well just tune out right now, because really,
Yes.
what the hell, right?
There's not a lot to say without spoilers.
Exactly. If you don't want to hear spoilers, then this is not the episode for you, because we're going to just talk all about the movie and all about all the things that we liked about it. I think in general we liked it. So I think the three of us are not going to be giving a negative review. So if you were hoping for a negative review, this is not the episode for you either. In general, this is really just going to be us talking about how much we liked it, I guess.
Yeah.
In general.
Basically.
That's what this is basically going to be. But all right, so let's go straight into this quick review of Avengers Endgame. I'm going to give you guys some basic facts as always. Avengers Endgame is 2019. It is categorized as an action, adventure, fantasy movie. PG-13. It is 3 hours and 1 minute long, because it couldn't be 3 hours. It had to be 3 hours and 1 minute.
Yeah.
That 1 minute was really important. They had to add that minute on. And the description IMDb says, after the devastating events of Avengers Infinity War in 2018, the universe is in ruins. With the help of remaining allies, the Avengers assemble once more in order to undo Thanos' actions and restore order to the universe. How you feel about that? Is that what we saw?
Pretty accurate for the last section of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. And then the directors is Anthony Russo, Joe Russo, the writers Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely, and 3 more credits. And it stars Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and then a whole bunch of other people. But I guess these 3 guys get the top billing. But I mean, if you know the movie, you know you got Chris Helmsworth, you got Scarlett Johansson, you got Jeremy Renner, you got Don Cheadle, you got Paul, you got a whole slew of
in
people.
there.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana, Brie Larson, everybody's in this movie.
Everyone.
This movie, I think, probably broke IMDb probably with how many credits they gave it. Yeah, look at all these people.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they're all like big actors. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, the cast is humongous. All right, what else can we say about the movie? The movie is the second Avengers or the third?
Fourth.
The fourth Avengers?
Yes.
Actual Avengers movie?
Yeah.
Why? What was the first one?
First one was Avengers, second was Age of Ultron, third was Infinity War, and now it's Endgame.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was 4. I thought it was only 3. So 4 Avengers movies, and then the rest is all MCU movies, obviously. But this is the conclusion of everything. That everything MCU, right?
Well, everything in this chapter.
Right. That's true.
This is the third phase. So next one will be after the next Spider-Man movie.
The next Spider-Man movie.
That is the actual end, which is weird because they named this Endgame, but we'll get into that later.
All right. So Avengers Endgame. Without getting into spoilers, obviously, I'm gonna say a little spoiler, a hint. This is like the end of a lot of things, right?
Right. That's
The
why it's
conclusion.
called
Yeah.
Endgame.
It's a conclusion of a lot of things. So if you're gonna go see this movie, for anybody who's curious about this movie and wants to go see it, I do think you need to watch the other movies.
Yeah.
You can't just go to this movie like, oh, let me watch a movie. I don't know, let's put this on. Or let's go to the theaters and watch a movie. Let's see Endgame. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you have to see it. And even if you saw the other movies, if you want to enjoy it, you have to really be invested in the characters and all that. Otherwise, you're going to be bored and you might not even want to watch it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
there's a lot of callbacks and references, so
Yeah, and like, to me, it is getting to the point, these Avengers and Marvel's movies are getting to the point almost like where I was already getting burnt out. I was already like, all right, enough with all these superhero movies. It kind of reminds me of like when Star Trek had so many Star Trek movies that after a while you were just like, another Star Trek movie? Okay. Another one? Oh my God, they destroyed the Enterprise. Oh my God, they killed off this character. But they keep going. Another movie.
Right.
Now they're going to resurrect that character. Now they're going to bring back the new ship. Now that, and after a while you do get exhausted. So I was beginning to feel that way. But I think I held in and I watched this one and I was like, all right, you know what? They got me. They got me on this final one or whatever, the end of this chapter one. It got me. But I don't know how many more of these can I take. If they start entering a phase 2 and phase 3, I might start bailing out. I might get bored.
Well, but they're gonna be different characters because I don't know. Okay, spoilers.
No spoilers yet, Carla.
All right.
Carla, we're not in spoilers yet. We'll enter the spoilers. We're not there yet.
So maybe the next movie is coming might be a little bit more interesting or so. Or something like that. Well, definitely to see this movie, you have to know the stories behind each character because they do. They're basically telling you the end for all of them. So if you don't know their history, then you're not going to understand why they're gonna end up where they're gonna end up in the movie, right? So.
Yeah, and I mean, and also for the actors themselves, like let's say Iron Man, I mean, everybody that's been doing reviews about this movie talks about the same thing. Iron Man, Tony Stark, he started off the whole MCU universe kind of by starting in this Iron Man movie where they introduced, the idea of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all this kind of stuff, and that introduced the Avengers Initiative and all this other stuff. So you get to see like almost like the graduation, the finale of a character, of an actor playing a character, and then all this other cast around him, and that I don't think you've seen that before. So it's kind of like interesting to see that we've been following these actors for so long, and you can see the age on them, and you can see how they've matured as those characters. So if you're coming into this movie without knowing all that, it's not going to mean anything to you because you're just going to be like, oh well, whatever. It's an action movie.
Right.
Okay. Now, just last thing before we get to spoilers. So, what do you guys think about the overall movie? Was it action? Was it drama? What do you think? I'll ask you, Mr.ARC.
I think it was more drama than action because, I mean, without spoiling the movie, there was more emotion to it and less fighting. Like, they held back on the amount of fight sequences they had, but
Okay.
the fight sequences they did have were very, I guess, very cinematic, very, very interesting to watch, like very entertaining. It kept you going.
And I would say it's more of a science fiction movie than an action movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
even, and that's why I think it gives me the Star Trek vibe, because it gets into the world of making you think, what if, and like you were talking about the what if comics and all that, it makes you think more of those things, and that's more science fiction world than action. Action doesn't really give you a what if. Action is just things explode, people are fighting, there's kung fu fighting, there's punching, there's swords, there's guns, but there isn't really a what if factor. There's a lot of what if in this movie.
Yeah.
All right, so should we just go into spoilers? Let's go into spoilers.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
sure.
Spoilers.
These are the spoilers for Endgame.
Nice, Kala. Nice.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
very nice,
Wow.
very nice.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Good
Thank you,
job, Mark, on
guys.
the
10 out
on
of
the
10.
keyboards. Very
Yeah,
good on the
you see?
keyboards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great
Alright.
combination.
All right, so this movie's ridiculous to talk about if you're not gonna just talk about it, right? It's like
Yes, exactly.
one of those. I think it's very unique to that. If you can't talk about who dies and who lives,
Then what's the point of talking about it?
exactly.
Right.
So, all right, let's go now. I got a whole list of spoilers. Number 1, Fat Thor.
Yes.
Yes, Thor is fat in this movie, so all the people who wanted to see a sexy Thor, it's not happening in this movie.
We
He
didn't
was
get to
built-
see him.
And that's why Carla started falling asleep on that.
I was like, oh, that's Thor? All right. Let
Good
me
night,
just take a
everybody.
nap.
Exactly. But I think it was funny that they made him Fat Thor. I think that was cool, and the fact that they made the Fat Thor like fight and all that, and like they kept him fat throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's funny. Made it a little cartoony, but it was funny. And then Professor Hulk was another big thing.
Yes.
The fact that they did so, Carla, you probably aren't aware of that, but in the comics, the Hulk, there was a point where they made the Hulk intelligent, where he was able to take on the personality of Bruce Banner, and so that's why they did it in the movie. They actually made him and Bruce Banner one,
Both
All
the
right.
brains
Yeah.
and the brawn.
which was nice. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was a good element. Captain America retiring. That's a big.
Yes.
That's a
But
big.
that's part of the end. Why you're like jumping?
I gotta jump around, Carla. I'm sorry. Captain America retiring.
Tons of
Alright.
spoilers.
Yeah, man. What'd you think about that?
Straight out of the comics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that was in the comics.
Yeah. I'll explain it later.
Oh,
explain
this
it
is
right
now. This is not. There's no later. There's no end game to this. This is the end game. But yeah, no. So Captain America retiring, that was pretty cool at the end. He does a whole time travel thing and whatever. So that's another element about this movie, time travel. That's a big thing. So time traveling in this movie is a huge part of this movie. That's why it's more like science fiction. That's why it's more like, not like action and like just a regular old comic book movie, but it's more, they kind of are referencing Back to the Future. They're referencing Looper. Like Looper is the movie where you go back in time and the guy fights himself.
Yeah.
Which they have a scene like that where Captain America goes back and he's fighting himself. And there's an element to this movie that is also like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where they're kind of traveling through time and doing wacky things and doing fun things, altering time and bringing things into the future and to the past and placing things in the past that will affect their future. So there's a lot of like cinematic play. If you're a fan of different movies and if you're a fan of time travel movies, like you're gonna enjoy this because they had fun with that. If you, like I said, if you were just looking for a regular movie, you might look at this and be like, that makes it silly. That makes it a little childish or a little, wacky. But it was fun. It was good. It was entertaining. I think it was well done. There's little holes here and there, but it was well done overall. So the time travel thing's a huge thing for this. I mean, if we're gonna keep going down the spoiler, so let's talk about all the people that died. So Captain America retired, like you said. Black Widow dying.
Yes.
That was a big deal. Scarlett Johansson dying.
Yeah.
They say that she's gonna come out with her own series, her own movie series. So
Yeah.
it kind of is weird.
She's supposed to have a movie coming out, a solo film, but people are speculating now that it would be a prequel, which makes more sense because it would become ridiculous if they just resurrected her and then continued the story like from that time on.
Right. I mean, who knows? once you start doing time travel, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You can go to another universe. You can go to an alternate universe where this never happened, and it's like
But did they really die, or they didn't?
No.
exactly.
No, they're dead. Yeah.
You never know; they might not be dead
What if for the next movie they're gonna go back in time,
and change everything.
resurrect them,
Yeah.
but still kill Thanos?
But
Yeah.
there's plenty of consequences to that.
Oh please!
In time travel, come on.
All right. I mean, the other thing was so I'm not going to say the. We'll talk about Iron Man at the end, but so Captain America with the hammer, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Captain America managing to use the hammer, and like because throughout the mythology of Thor, it's always been that only Thor can hold the hammer.
Well, whoever's worthy, yeah.
Yeah, and then finally they teased it in an older movie where Captain America they were playing around with the hammer and he was trying to lift it and he kind of budged it a little bit, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like it was a big deal. But in this one, he not just only budges it, he calls it telepathically to his hand, and then uses it like his own weapon, swirling it around and destroying everything with the hammer. That was pretty exciting. When I saw it, that was fun to watch. Like, I don't think you really see that in movies that are either superhero or like science fiction, like in Star Wars. You barely, if ever, see like Han Solo take the lightsaber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't see somebody who's not using that weapon use it. And in here, by breaking those rules and having Captain America using the hammer was like, whoa, like that really changed the game up in that genre, for people who like those kind of movies.
There was actually, I was watching a few theories on why he couldn't lift the hammer in the
Uh-huh.
older movie.
Okay.
And it does actually make sense that he wasn't worthy when he did attempt to pick it up and it just nudged. A lot of people are saying that it's possibly because he kept the secret that Bucky killed Iron Man's parents. Because he found that out in The Winter Soldier, but he kept it inside and never told his friend the truth until Civil War when he got it off his chest and they got into a fight.
So you're saying because of that made him worthy?
Because he got it off his chest and no longer has to feel that guilt of keeping that secret, he was then worthy in Endgame
Okay.
and was able to carry it.
That's cool.
Great theory.
Seriously, Carla?
I can't take credit. It's all over the internet as well.
So the other big thing, because Captain Marvel movie have just come out, so everybody was like, "Oh, Captain Marvel's gonna be in this movie," and she obviously was in the movie, but she didn't do too much. She did stuff in the final battle scene, which was epic. That final battle scene was amazing. I think for me, out of these 3 hours, all right. So first of all, that's another thing I want to say. So first of all, this movie is the first movie that to me felt like a binge watching session. If for any of you people out there who've been watching, I mean, everybody's binge watching stuff now, but if you've been watching the Daredevil or the Punisher series on Netflix, then you're already familiar with that feeling that they release a whole series and you can watch the whole thing over one weekend. And you're getting all these stories intertwined and you can fast forward, or if you miss your spot, you could always rewind to the previous episode and kind of see, oh, what did I miss? I think I didn't pay attention to something. And that's what this movie felt like. It felt like 3 episodes put together, and that's why it was 3 hours. And to me, the final episode, the last hour of this movie is where it really got what I really came to see. That's when it really got cooking. It was kind of like a dramatic hour, and then a wacky time travel hour, and then it was the final hour, which was more like the action and the battle and all the other stuff that happens and all the drama of like the deaths and whatever. So I think that's really exciting about this movie. That it's like very current in that sense, where it feels like how we're used to taking in this information in one big binge, So the 3 hours was long, but it made sense. Like it makes total sense. But back to the last hour of this movie, once they started doing the battle, and then like you just feel like, oh my God, we're getting back to a situation where all hope is lost. They're trying to defeat Thanos and they can't defeat him, and Thanos brings an army out, and you're like, am I watching the same movie again? I think I saw this movie already. But then they open up the portals, and then you see all the heroes come out, and it felt like what is that movie? Ready Player One. It felt like that.
It
Where
felt
like
a lot like that.
yeah, like where you just have this huge field of all these mixed bag of characters. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I like that. I gotta admit, it's like wow, like that got me.
Yeah.
That got me more than the deaths.
Hmm.
Like seeing the heroes come out of everywhere. I was like,
Yeah.
I started getting like the chills. Like, oh wow, this
Like,
is really exciting.
Oh
This
my
is
god. Everybody's back.
listen, that doesn't happen.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
definitely.
they tried to do it. I'll tell you when was the last time I saw something similar, and it didn't work. Was in Star Wars. In Star Wars, I can't remember. It was one of the prequel ones, and they tried to have all the Jedi's come out and fight like with lightsabers. So it was like a whole field of Jedi. So they all showed up to save the heroes, and like they all jumped out of wherever, and they all had lightsabers. They all started fighting everybody. And I remember looking at it and saying like, "Wow, I always wanted to see this." But then I was like, "I don't like this stuff. It looks kind of cheesy. It looked a little cheap." Here, I was like, I always wanted to see this, and I was like, wow, and it looks really good. I was like, this looks really impressive. And then the fact that everybody on the field, on the battlefield, had weapons or had powers.
Right.
Like you'd never see that. Like anytime that you see a battle like that or a battlefield like that, they don't. Our director's not gonna bother to focus in on every person's power and everything. You know what I mean? But here, like the camera follows all the different heroes and they shows everybody doing a little bit of their powers. And
Right.
It made it fun. Made it exciting. So yeah, that battle was epic. Then what else? You were talking about Fortnite?
Oh, yeah. So when we meet Fat Thor, we also see that they have created Asgard again after it was destroyed in Thor Ragnarok. And there's one scene where we see Korg and Meek, who are also characters from Thor Ragnarok, and they're playing Fortnite. And a lot of people were wondering why Fortnite. And, you know, me as someone who actually plays the game, I realized that, well, there's a connection because Fortnite has allowed Endgame to use their game in their movie.
Oh, really?
And the Russo brothers, which are the directors of both Endgame and Infinity War, they are fans of the game, and they allowed Fortnite to have Thanos and the Avengers in their game in Fortnite. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. And then Stan Lee had a cameo?
Yes.
Where was he?
So it was when it was after the Battle of New York scene, from when they time traveled back to Avengers 1. After they had lost the Tesseract, they realized there was one time where they took the Tesseract back to a shield base, and it was a way they can both get the Tesseract and where they can get Pym particles, which are, you know, these particles that they use to time travel, where they could get more of those, which was back in the 70s, I believe. So they time traveled back to the old shield base, and Stan Lee passes by as a hippie in a car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do remember it. Yeah, and he screams at them.
Yes.
Yeah, he screams some nonsense. Yeah. I
And,
remember that.
One of the funny things about that cameo is the license plate on his car says "Nuff said," which is one of his phrases, I guess. Like he always said, like "Nuff said, true believer." So that was one of his catchphrases, which was pretty interesting to see.
All right, and so I guess lastly, Nick Fury. It was good to see him in the movie. He did a little cameo at the end. It's a shame he didn't do much. Black Panther shows up. He didn't do much. I mean, they fought in the battle and they showed them fighting, but I would have wanted to see more of Black Panthers talking and saying stuff. And then lastly is just Iron Man dying at the end. Iron Man dies. We all know that. Everybody knows that. The whole internet and everybody knows that. It's not even a spoiler anymore. But yeah, Iron Man dies. How'd you guys feel about that?
That hit me the hardest out of everything.
Really?
Yeah. For me, I was just like, I was like, I don't know. I was shocked by the state he was in after he did the snap. Yes, he got the stones, and
Well, what state did you want him to be in?
I-
Hulk almost died holding that thing,
I
and
know,
now
I know. I don't know. I expected that he wouldn't. I didn't expect that he'd be completely like unresponsive. I thought like he'd have the same arm issue because really like the Hulk and Thanos, all they did was have like a burnt arm. So I was like, maybe his armor could take it, something like that. Like, I don't know. I didn't expect that it'd get to him through the armor and everything because he always, I don't know. They always find a way to make him like
Yeah, it was pretty
invincible.
graphic
yeah, it was
because they showed the half of the face that it was almost all gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty graphic for it being an Avengers
Yeah.
superhero movie. Where you think that because they're superheroes and they have superpowers, you will never think of
Yeah.
seeing them like
But
that.
he's just
at
a
that
man,
state.
though. He's just a human man.
I know, but he's still Iron Man. He's supposed to
true.
be like protected by his
Armor.
superpowers,
Yeah.
which are the technology that he uses.
Yeah.
So
No, I know what you're saying. You know what's the funny thing? I always imagined. I can't remember what was the movie that they showed Iron Man. The first time they showed Iron Man's helmet destroyed, like crushed up or whatever. I don't remember which. It was one of the movies in the series where.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
I think.
I can't remember. There was one where they finally showed, like they showed, like they were hinting at, like, oh my God, Iron Man, is he dead this time? Is he finally dead, or is something gonna happen to him? So, I feel like his death was kind of long overdue because
Right.
they've been playing with showing the suit being destroyed or half the face mask.
Which they even referenced this in the beginning of this movie. In the beginning of this movie, when he sent the voice message through his helmet, you can see that the right side of his helmet is destroyed and he wipes away a tear mark almost on his helmet. And later in the movie, everyone's crying over his death and his right side of his face is destroyed.
Okay. I think right before he died, though, in the middle of the battle, and they bring back Spider-Man, he shows up.
Yeah.
That part I think got me also.
Yeah.
When he saw Spider-Man and he gives him a hug and he's all like, because the last time that the two of them saw each other, Iron Man was very like standoffish and he was very like, okay, kid, like that's a relationship till then was always like, all right, kid, all right, you know, like whatever, but relax. Like this time it was like Tony was so happy to see Spider-Man that he gave him a hug and he was like, oh my God, like he thought he lost him forever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Spider-Man was like, oh, okay, all right, this is nice.
Right. Like that was funny because for the Dusted especially, like all they remember was the last time they were alive, which was in Infinity War. So their memories only go back like 5 minutes for them, I guess.
Right.
Like, and it's been 5 years for the older generation of the Avengers. So they're all shocked to see that everyone's back. And Iron Man and Peter, they've always had like this father-son like relationship. Like they didn't really show much of Uncle Ben, so he felt almost like the Uncle Ben of this universe.
You know what? I didn't think about that. You're right, because in this universe, Spider-Man didn't have the Uncle Ben character who dies. They just had the Marissa Tomei character, the Aunt May character.
yeah.
So that's true. That's a good point. Maybe that element was missing from that character, so we're kind of seeing it in a different way. That's actually a good way of still having that element for the character in this universe. I think the other thing I was going to say is Hawkeye and Black Widow. The Black Widow's death scene, that got me a little bit because it was like they were like fighting each other, but they were trying to protect each other, and then like they were trying to make the sacrifice for each other, but at the last minute, obviously she's the one who ends up dying. It was a little silly the way she ended up dying because it was like toss of a coin, where it was like either one of them could die, and it's just whoever can be stronger. And at the end of the day, it was just her because accidentally she slipped and fell. But whatever, I don't know.
Not accidentally.
I mean,
But I think at the end, even if I wanted it to be Hawkeye, only because
why?
I thought it would have been a proper closing for him, especially since it would have been like the end of his revenge like arc.
Okay.
because after his family gets dusted in the beginning, yes, they get dusted, he was seeking revenge on everyone who was alive and who was bad. But I feel like if he died giving up his life for the Soul Stone, I feel like it would have been a way for him to finally be at rest, knowing that, well, now it's in the Avengers' hands and now they can actually fix, what has happened, and at least my family can be alive, and I know that I was there to help.
No. I mean, I don't expect too much family story being tied into these movies.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I was just kind of because I don't imagine too much that. None of these heroes have families like that. They try to introduce Tony, Iron Man, in this movie that he had a daughter. He developed a family. But they never really have that in these kind of characters. They don't, Thor doesn't have kids and all that, and Captain America never had kids, and the Hulk doesn't have kids. None of these are parents or anything like that. So that's why I didn't. Hawkeye's family disappearing, it didn't hit me that hard because I was like, well, none of these heroes have families. They're kind of disposable if they do have families.
Well, actually, I think this entire movie was about family. Because if you think about it, Hawkeye has his family, right? He's trying to avenge them. Then Black Widow, she explains that her family to her was the Avengers themselves, that she wants to protect them. And Thor, he had a family, but he's always yeah, they died. And when he goes back in time, he has that closure with his mother that he didn't have before when she did die. It was all abrupt. And she sees that, that he's been through hell pretty much, and she bonds with him, and they have a family moment. And I think at the end, the Tony Stark, he has a voiceover, and he's talking about, I hope it's a celebration when you hear this message, and I hope you enjoy the time you have with your family, pretty much. And he's always talking, he was talking about his experience with the Avengers, and it kind of brought back the theme of a family almost.
Yeah, all right, I get you. What about Thanos? Do you think he did much in this? I feel like
I didn't think
we walked right over that, but they kill Thanos.
Yeah, right in the beginning.
That
early
caught me by
surprise.
They cut off his head, which was kind of impressive for one of these superhero movies to have a beheading like that. Although let's say Star Wars and movies like that, they always have people getting their arms chopped off and stuff like that. But an actual beheading isn't that common in these kind of movies, so that was kind of impressive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Thanos did that much. I mean, when he was fighting in the battle, he looked pretty tough.
Yeah.
And his last final disintegration scene where he gets dusted himself, that looked pretty cool. Where he just sat down and kind of let out his last breath and was like, ah, and then he just disappeared. That was kind of cool. There was some good scenes, but I don't know if he did what I imagined he was going to be doing as the big bad guy. I don't know. I think he did better in the previous movie.
Well, I don't think he needed to do much at all, actually, in this movie, because I think the last movie was almost he was the hero of the story. People argue that he's the hero of the story because he goes on a spiritual journey to get these stones, and after he snaps, his job is over. He retires, he goes farming, and
then these guys show up to his little cottage to take his head off.
Yeah,
exactly.
But
like murderers.
Right.
It was kind of dark.
Yeah, it really was.
That was kind of dark.
But
they actually did go on some revenge.
Yeah.
White people.
Seriously?
Basically.
Seriously.
But
yeah.
I really don't think he had to do much in this movie because it was the end of his journey. He did his job, and I think when Thanos from Guardians of the Galaxy came into the movie, which is the Thanos that they fight at the end. He seemed like the part of Thanos we were missing in Infinity War. So I feel like with Thanos in Infinity War and Thanos in this movie, we got pretty much all the Thanos we need. Because in this movie, Thanos is more of like a ruthless warrior. Like, while in Infinity War, he's more of like a Zen character who's going on a spiritual journey to complete a mission.
I kind of like that guy.
Yeah.
I liked that aspect of him in the previous movie, because it was really interesting to see a villain take that path. I just imagined that path would pay off in this movie, that they would take it further. They kind
Of course not.
They kind of rewound it. They kind of brought it back.
He's not the hero.
Yeah, I know.
He's the bad guy. He needs to die.
I think Thor. I don't know. I think Thor also did a bit, but I don't know if he did as much as I imagined that he would have been doing.
Right.
They used him as a comic element.
Well, I think Thor in a way is similar to the way Thanos was, because like I feel like while Thanos was almost like the hero of Infinity War, Thor was almost like the villain of Infinity War. He was trying to, stop Thanos from snapping, which in a way it was like, in a way it was bad, right? But Thanos is snapping to balance out the universe so that, there's enough resources for the population. Because if you have a mass population, there's not enough resources to go around. So I think Thor in a way was also like kind of like retiring almost in this movie. And at the end you see that when he gives up, Asgard to Valkyrie. It's like him giving up his title, him just retiring.
Yeah, and also Captain America retiring and giving his shield to what did he give it to?
Falcon.
To Falcon. And there was another handoff. No?
Nope. No, he just
well, Thor joining Guardians kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a transition there.
It's a reference to the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which is another comic book, but it was a whole different team of heroes.
Yeah, too many comics, man.
Yeah. Yep. I'm telling you, this whole movie was like fan service.
All right. Well, so I think in conclusion to all this, or the big conclusion to all this that we can take away is there's going to be more movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This can't be really the end game because they're making so much money off of this.
Right.
Too much money.
Too much money off of this, yeah.
I don't think they meant that it was the end period. I think they meant it was the end of this chapter. Those heroes are done. Now we can move on to the new Avengers.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to see another big movie like this? Probably.
Yeah, guaranteed.
They're probably going to somebody else is going to try to take a big franchise and make a giant movie and make it a big epic thing. There's going to be TV series like this also. There's going to be I'm sure there's going to be a Netflix show that's going to try to make a big epic thing.
Yeah.
For sure. This is a big event in social media. Everybody's all excited about it and all amped about it. So it's got to spin off into more things. It can't just be make a great movie and now you're done. Make another great movie. It's going to be somebody's going to try to make another social media event like this, something that grabs everybody's attention, gets people talking, gets people excited. I think this movie had no negativity really attached to it, which is it's hard to do that. Mm-hmm. Because whenever you do something big like this, somebody's going to try to come in with a negative angle.
Right.
Somebody's going to have some background of oh my God, the director, there's some lawsuit against him, or there's always going to be something, or the actors had bad blood and because of that there's a rumor or a scandal. Mm-hmm. But there was nothing. This movie was seamless, unless if everything's being suppressed by lawyers, but which is a possibility.
I saw a video of Chris Pratt, the one that is from
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, from Guardians of the Galaxy, that he posted when he was on set, he was recording with his phone, and that everybody was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You're recording with your phone," because they're not supposed to have either their cell phones on set. So if anything happened, they're not gonna say, and I'm sure they're gonna sign a non-disclosure thing so that nothing comes out, and then they have to act it out. If anything really happened, they have to be like nothing happened. So
that's true. I mean,
it's so much money that they're getting out of that movie that I don't think they're gonna.
I'll give you another example of things that happen on movies of this scale or trilogies or series like this, like the Matrix movie, for example, the Matrix series. Those 3 movies, the actress that played the old lady, that played the one that was like the one that had the visions that knew, like, could tell the future and all that, they replaced her twice. In Lord of the Rings, the guy, I think the wizard died along the way, or was it the Harry Potter movies that the wizard?
The wizard, and Harry Potter.
Like, things like that happen where a person will die, people get replaced, and along the way, those kind of things create like a weird buzz about behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in this movie, there was nothing like that. Stan Lee died. That's about it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But it wasn't like any of the actors. Look at the cast of actors, and you had no problems. Like, you didn't have an actor die out or bail out and be like, I don't want to be a part of this. That's impressive. Somebody's gonna try to do it, but it's like, how do you do it?
Right.
On that scale. That's
I mean,
impressive.
but it also depends how they record the actual how they film the movie, because maybe it was a thing of they don't have to be on set all together at the same time, and then for that final battle is the only time when we have to get them together.
And even that doesn't have to be together because it's all CGI.
The fact that you're watching them throughout the movie supposedly interacting with each other is not true. They're not really interacting with each other.
That's
They're
true.
interacting. The editing of the filmmakers, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and in that case, that supports the idea that it was a big effort to get this accomplished.
Yeah.
How do you assemble all those pieces? Not just the actors, but maybe the people that are setting up the editing and doing all the things right to make it the illusion happen.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They did it flawlessly. So
yeah.
In that aspect, that's really cool. What about the music, Mr.ARC? You practiced the music for this. Do you think that they did the music justice in this last episode, in this last movie?
I do. I think in that final battle, when Captain America says "Avengers Assemble" for the first time, I think that Avengers theme that was playing over really got me excited, and seeing all the Marvel characters lined up, ready to battle, and when it cut off, when he drew back Thor's hammer, it was just really cool to see.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, has the music changed throughout all the movies?
Yeah. Like in this movie, there were some music choices that changed. I think they used, in the beginning of the movie, I think there was a song called Dear Mr. Fantasy or something. It was probably like one of Star-Lord's tracks, because they were on his ship in the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
But if you listen to the lyrics, it kind of like references things that'll happen in the movie. And it explains like Iron Man's journey, almost like talking about it's like Dear Mr. Fantasy, play us a tune that'll get us like out of this blue, like almost like getting us out of this negativity, which Iron Man does. Like he saves the entire universe, and he gets them out of the sadness that they're in, the sad state that they're in, but with a price, which is his life. So it all, like, that song has a narrative towards the story, and
I didn't even notice that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and just some of the music was a little more dramatic, which was interesting to see the dramatic take of like a comedic and fun, family friendly universe.
Right. Yeah, no, I can see that. I think if I watch it again, which I'm definitely gonna watch it on a big screen this time. But I think I'm gonna pay attention to the music this time because I do believe that there was some different music choices compared to the other Avengers movies. So I'm gonna pay attention to that this time. And I think lastly, I would say, what did you think about the CGI in this movie versus? Do you think it's gotten better, or do you think it's been the same? Was there any scenes that were really impressive?
I think the de-aging tech that they use is always impressive to me. How they either age the person a lot or they de-age the person a lot. But I think especially the aging on Captain America at the end of the movie,
right?
That looked pretty good. Like that was impressive. It looked like an older version of the actor. Like
I thought he was a different actor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think there was one okay looking CGI moment, which was when they do travel back in time to the old Shield base. They show the old Ant-Man, and he's a lot younger. It's Michael Douglas, but he's a lot younger, and his face looks a little blurry, like a little bit too CGI. But
the Hulk looked great.
Yeah, the Hulk looked really good. It looked just like the actor.
Yeah, it looked better than ever before.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. We talked enough. Avengers Endgame, awesome.
Yep. 10
Recommended. Yep.
Go watch it.
Go watch it twice.
Yep.
You wanted me to teach you, right? This is street reality.
Hablando español, Carla. What do you got for us this time?
Yes, that's right. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the two words, the Avengers. How do you say the Avengers? Without looking, I catch you.
Well, before we do that, Mr.ARC over here just came back from Puerto Rico, so he's got to know a lot of Spanish.
Oh, that's right.
He's got to be really fluent right now, right? He's going to kill this. He's going to ace it.
And more from Puerto Rico.
Oof, forget it.
Un español ahí de primera.
So, Avengers?
The Avengers.
I have no idea.
You don't know? Let me teach you.
The Avengers.
All right, dale.
It is said Los Vengadores.
Los Vengadores.
Yeah, you got to say it louder.
Los Vengadores.
Los Vengadores.
Yes, that's
Yeah, there you
right.
go. Los Vengadores. Very good.
Los Vengadores.
That's the only way to get this kid to speak Spanish.
Comes from venganza.
Ah, venganza.
Revenge.
Revenge.
The Avengers.
Okay.
I'm not sure why in Spanish is Los Vengadores and it has to be with revenge, but that's the way they call it. Los Vengadores.
I mean, it makes sense.
All right.
I mean, they were like vigilantes in this movie. They went and chopped off somebody's head.
Exactly.
Right. Well, they avenged.
So that's what it is.
They avenged using their revenge.
White people.
All right, keep going.
All right. Next one
one.
is Endgame. How do you say Endgame?
Endgame.
Think about game. How you say game?
Juego final. Partido final.
Yeah, means the same. Final del juego.
Final del juego.
But it can be juego final too.
Now, the funny thing about Endgame is that it's not game end.
It's not like game over.
No, Endgame is actually a term more from my experience. I've heard Endgame used as an expression of what is your final goal?
Right.
What is your end game? What are you pushing for? The final result. It's not so much like what is the end of the game, but more when somebody says what is your end game, they mean what is your final goal? What is your, what are you striving for? And it's a weird thing because that phrase is used here both ways. It's used as Thanos' end game, but at the same time it's used as like the end of the game of the whole game of these movies and all that.
Right. So if it's literal, the end game, it will be like final del partido
Final
or
del juego.
final del juego. But if it's more in a symbolic way, I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
It's also like it's a chess term. So for an actual literal game as well, it's the final stages of the chess game where you could even give up, a king in order for a pawn to make it to the final stages and to, then advance the game to the final stages where you finally put the opponent into checkmate.
Very interesting.
Very good,
huh?
Mr. Brainiac over here, Mr. Snaps.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Talking about snaps.
Yes.
How do you say snapping your fingers?
That's
And this one, I have to be honest, I had to look it up because I really don't remember how we say in Puerto Rico to snap your fingers. I cannot, it doesn't come to my mind.
so when somebody is playing music and you're snapping your fingers along, nobody says anything.
I know, I know we said something, but this
They
is
just go-
what happens.
They just point and look and go,
This
you're
is
doing
what
that thing.
happens after
You know what it
you have
is.
spent 6 years in the United States
Oh my God.
speaking English all
Listen,
the
first
time.
of all, Carla, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. So your whole life you've been in the United States.
Well, okay, how do you say snapping your fingers?
I really have no idea.
Yeah, no, I don't
Well,
know.
according to Google,
Uh-huh.
es chasquear o chasqueando
Wow.
los dedos.
Learn something new.
Chasqueando.
Chasqueando. Aiden, go ahead, give it a try.
Chasqueando.
Repeat it again.
Chasqueando
Chasqueando
Yeah.
los dedos.
See,
los
when you...
dedos.
Yes,
The funny thing, Mr.ARC, is that when you put your mind to speaking in Spanish,
you can do it.
you
very
do it without a
easily.
problem. I don't understand. All right, next one.
Next one is...
Chasqueando.
How
Chasqueando
do you
los
say...
dedos.
yo iba a decirlo mal. How do you say Guardians of the Galaxy?
I think we've had this already.
I
this-
know,
This
but
word. Guardians of the Galaxy.
it's very easy.
Guardianes de la Galaxia?
Yes.
What is it?
Guardianes. Repeat after me. Guardianes
Guardianes
de la
de la
Galaxia.
Galaxia.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, go ahead. Say it again. No, him.
You do.
I just forgot.
You already forgot it. You-
Guardianes.
Repeat again.
Guardianes
Guardianes
Yeah, there you go. Guardianes.
de
de
la
la
Galaxia.
Galaxia.
Very good.
That's
All
right. Okay.
Mr.ARC is fluent. Look at that.
How do you say Iron Man?
Iron Man. Iron Man, el hombre de acero.
That's right.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think I've heard that one before.
Yeah. Hombre de acero.
Hombre
De
de
acero.
acero.
There
Yes,
you go.
that's
Very
right.
good.
Okay. How do you say Hulk?
There's a word for Hulk?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Is it just Hulk?
No.
Hulk. No. The Hulk.
How do you say it?
La mole.
La mole.
Yeah.
La mole.
And that expression I've heard even in songs, in reggaeton songs, like for a tough guy, it's like la mole because they're like big and strong. I don't know what else.
You want to keep going or you?
Yeah, I have more, like 2 more.
All right, dale.
All right.
I'll stretch out the music. It's fine.
How do you say Spider-Man?
It's Aiden, do you know?
No.
It's easy
It's easy. Well, it's easy if you know. how
if
to
you
say
know.
it.
If you know.
Yeah.
All right, so in Spanish it's el hombre araña. El hombre araña.
El hombre araña.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
that's right.
El hombre araña.
And then last one is how do you say Black Panther?
Ah.
La Pantera Negra.
La pantera negra.
La pantera negra.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Very good.
Good
You-
job, everyone.
Okay.
But especially Mr.ARC.
Mr.ARC, you've
You have
graduated.
learned some Spanish. We're going to give you a certificate at the end of this episode.
Yay.
All right. All right, another episode done.
another episode.
Thank you, Mr. ARC, for joining us.
Problem. Thank you for having me.
I guess we'll bring you on for the next time when we review. We do a video game review. You know, I've been wanting to do a video game review.
Yeah.
I just
Which
for
one?
fun. Just maybe just talk about what's the top.
Well, you
video
have to
games
be
and all that.
playing the video game in order to do the review.
While we do the. While we. You mean playing while we're
That would be
recording?
nice. That would be cool.
That could work.
Like, get your first-hand reactions. Be like, oh, they're killing me. Oh.
Why are they killing me? Why can't it be? Oh, I'm killing it.
I don't know.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.